So there's a lot that can be talked about, from the physical to the subconscious. We've talked a lot about it before, but I want to go a little deeper into the neurochemistry a little bit, especially for those who are trying to get potential out of their brain and it doesn't feel as though they are able to. Something's blocking them. They're demotivated. We've talked about motivation before as well. So when we talk about this, what we're really talking about is there's a Danish philosopher, Kierkegaard, Soren Kierkegaard, who talked about how everybody walks a bridge of sorts between two chasms, okay? On the one side is the finite, and that's everything that we know, we've experienced, our personality, everything that we've established in life and that we have like a tie to. And then on the other side is the infinite. That's our potential. That's where we don't have any plans, but it's like these dreams and these things that we can't quite put our finger on. People are walking this bridge between the two, and if you go too far on either side, you can lose your authentic self. So the game is to really walk that bridge right in the middle so that you have a good grasp on your day-to-day, what you're doing, your personality, but you're not so tied to it that you are unwilling to release it in order to follow your dreams or to realize your potential. And then, of course, not to go so far onto the potential side that you drop your entire life as you've known it and live in dreamland, right? Okay, so then need to decide, what are we going to dedicate our lives to? And Tom Bilyeu makes a great point. One of the most important things, if not the most important thing, is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself, right? Can you respect yourself? Every time you accomplish something that you set out to do, you're actually building reward within yourself, respect, okay? And so what he suggests is to structure your life around a series of goals that are both exciting, meaning that, you know, even on the low days, on the up days, that you're going to get up and you're going to do it because it actually like excites you, right? And honorable, both to yourself and to others. So if you can structure your life around goals that are both exciting and honorable, authentically to yourself, then you're more likely to be able to accomplish it and use what we're about to talk about to your advantage so that you can get anything that you want.
I like what you said, lose your authentic self.
Yes.
In chasing dreams, not hard to lose yourself.
That's the truth. And also being too committed to the personality. A lot of our personality, if not for some of us, all of it, is built on trauma. We design ourselves in the world to fit in instead of belonging to ourselves. At a very young age, we're learning to survive, right?
That's a great point.
Yeah, so we're intellectually very immature as young people. We're taking the world in through our emotions. So if we're communicated to, for example, that it's not okay to be loud and noisy, we want to be rambunctious, and we are, but we get punished as a result of it, or someone disapproves of us very early on before we can even remember, you know, we actually start to think, okay, I have to be quiet in the world, and that becomes part of our personality. Or we become the rebel and we go, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway, right? And so rebellion becomes a part of our personality. So oftentimes by the time we are coming online, basically, and we have the most neuroplasticity between ages 0 to 25, okay? But then we know that we're in theta state till age 8, right? So that dream state, that hypnosis state, and that learning state. A lot of who we are in the world, how we show up, was built upon pain points. Unfortunately, the way that we're wired is mostly to be responsive to discomfort and pain. So this was disapproved of, therefore I can't be that anymore. I have this challenge in my life, therefore I need to be this person. I cannot be this person. We're shoving all these other parts of ourselves into the
That's
shadow.
all like what midlife crisis is about. You get there and all of a sudden you're going, I need to recharge in a big way. Is that where you get there?
Exactly. The midlife crisis is basically you coming to terms with the fact that you're not living your life the authentic way. You start thinking about the dreams and the visions and the potential that you've left on the table. You start evaluating the fact that you're living your life to fit in rather than to belong to yourself. And you start to sort of just make big changes in order to align yourself more with your authentic self. And also to know that Dr. Andrew Huberman, a lot of this research comes from his lab, Stanford neuroscientist. He basically says that you can have as much, even though naturally we have more neuroplasticity during those initial years, right? We're learning 3 languages. We're just learning machines, right?
I had trouble with French.
Right. But we're very neuroplastic during that time, so our brains are always, they're always rewiring. Even though that's the case and it becomes a little more difficult, he wants everyone to know that you can actually have as robust neuroplasticity in your brain as an adult as you did as a child. So this all has to do with a couple of neurochemical systems, and one of them is acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is a neurochemical that is released whenever you are focusing on something, okay? And so acetylcholine loves heightened states of being. So it doesn't matter if it's heightened states of excitement or fear. This is how trauma comes about, right? So it's like you're going about your life as a child, and you're just kind of living life you're with a diffuse awareness, and then all of a sudden something happens, and your brain ties in something's wrong. Okay, in that moment, what happens is your focus narrows down on what it is, and acetylcholine is released from the base of the brain, a couple of nuclei, and it basically will create your neurons that are associated with that specific activity. It'll create sort of an imprint, a spotlight, like look at this, learn for the future. Now, it could be a negative spotlight or a positive spotlight, right?
So it takes everything out of your focus and puts that one thing on stage.
It spotlights it. And that is how our brain actually wires. You know, it's been said that the brain is neither hardware nor software, right? It's liveware. It's incredible because literally every single thing that you are learning is changing the structure of your brain. It's always mapping and remapping. It's always learning. So even if you learn somebody's name, you know, in the process of learning someone's name, your brain is actually restructuring. So it's incredible. Now, what happens is that you experience these traumatic events, these small traumas when you're a child, and because you're small and you're absorbing all of those things, your brain focuses in and it creates the acetylcholine comes out and it spotlights what's happening. And then in the future, it will tell you how to behave accordingly. So if you get bit by a dog, for example, right? You get bit by the dog, all of a sudden your focus is on the dog. It's associating the pain with the dog. Acetylcholine goes out. It hits all those the synapses and the neurons that are associated with the dog. And so next time what happens is that when you see a dog, automatically you recoil because you remember that pain is associated with the dog. Now, maybe you grow all the way up to an adult and you still have a fear of dogs, right? And you don't exactly know where. But you want to have a good association to dogs. Now it becomes important to recognize that if you want to change your brain, if you want to change your associations, then it's going to require focus again. It's going to require an experience, a new experience. So it's about taking that focus in a heightened state, right? And pairing it and associating it with something positive. So a lot of people do this in talk therapy, right? They'll recall a traumatic event from the past, and they will associate that. This new association will form with the safety of their therapist, right? As they talk about it, and now they're able to overcome it in that way. There's other somatic processing things that you can do, and one really interesting one is lateral eye movement. So it's been found that when you want to overcome a stress, the best way to do it for fear, the best way. Do you know the best way to overcome a fear?
Well, yeah, go do it.
That's exactly right.
I fell in an elevator years ago, and I got out the elevator and I walked right in another elevator and went up.
That's exactly right.
Because I swore I'd never get back in if I didn't do it.
That is exactly what it is. So overcoming fear is just a matter of forward movement. And so what happens is that whenever we're afraid, our amygdala is going off, right? That's that seat of emotion, and you're in that sort of primal state. What shuts down the amygdala is forward movement. So if you move into something with action, it basically suppresses the activity in the amygdala, in that threat detection center, and it says everything is okay. Now, the brain doesn't really know what we're doing as far as mobilization. The reason it does know, or how it determines that we're moving forward, is our eye movements. So lateral eye movements signal that you are in forward movement. So
What do you mean by like if I'm
side to side?
Okay.
That's it. So if you think about moving forward really fast, you're sort of assessing and your eyes are moving side to side, right? So they have found in research, both in animals and in humans, that lateral eye movements can change the association in your brain to fear. So if you're afraid of something and you relive it, but you're moving your eyes side to side, it tells the brain that you're moving forward into the fear. And that association, that new paired association, will calm the amygdala and create a new association. Isn't that incredible? So you just get to be sitting there and literally doing lateral eye movements as you think about something that happened to you before. You want to rewire it in your brain. And you're basically telling your brain, it's happening again, but this time I'm moving into it. And so the amygdala calms and you're able to do
so
it.
if you fear something, from what I do by experience, is just imagine past it and you didn't die from it.
That's it. Yeah.
So you beat it.
Because your brain doesn't make a distinction for time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you're reliving it in your mind, or if you're living it in a different way in your mind, or you're imagining it into the future, the brain literally thinks that that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're creating new neural pathways, and we talked about this before. It's sort of like rehearsing the future, right?
Right.
So if you can go within and you can actually imagine yourself moving into something and regulating your nervous system, then what you're doing essentially is teaching the brain this is no longer a threat. We've been here before and we survived, and
Well,
everything.
some people work themselves into a frenzy when they could really be working themselves out of a frenzy.
Right. Or reframing the frenzy to know like exactly what. So once you learn what is actually happening to yourself, that your nervous system is sort of reacting in stress and agitation because it's supposed to, because based on what happened in the past. Once you understand and you're able to apply what they call interoception, where it's like you're looking at the inside of the way that you perceive things, you're able to actually make changes and actually recognize that even though the nervous system is behaving as though you're going to die, right? Even though it's behaving as though there's a threat, there is no threat. And so to your point, the thing to do about it is just to move forward. Feel the fear and do it anyway, like Susan Jeffers says. Exactly. Yeah.
Just face it. We'll see you next time.